Areena.
This week we are on a mission to find the best place to live in Finland, and we look beyond the rankings to hear the real stories from cities, towns and villages across the country. Hello and welcome to All Points North. I am Ronan Browne and you are not Zena Iovino.
I'm certainly not Zena Iovino. Unfortunately, Zena's sick this week, but that's possibly a little bit lucky because Zena is not from Vantaa, which actually is the best place to live in Finland. And I do live in Vantaa, so
okay.
I'm an expert.
Controversy right from the start, Egan. Well, it is great that you stepped up at the last minute. Thank you for that.
No problem at all.
But this will be a good show because this week we're on a mission to find the best place to live in Finland, as you sort of give away there. Yes,
sorry for spoiling that one, but what do you think, Ronan? Which town gets your vote? Is it by any chance the place where you currently reside?
Am I that obvious? Am I that predictable? Yeah, I live in Tampere and I don't think I've ever made any secret of the fact that I think it's a great city. I mean, it's so easy to get around. There's so much to do, and then the lakes, forest are nearby. And, of course, it's the sauna capital of the world.
Officially, yes.
Well, self-declared, but still, it counts.
I've never heard any other city declare itself as the sauna capital of the world, so well done, Tampere.
Yeah, undisputed. Of course, I'm not the only one who has fallen for Tampere's charms, because the city and the wider Pirkanmaa region, they consistently top any poll that asks what is the best place to live in Finland.
Yeah. It's a widely accepted kind of position there.
But it's Vantaa for you.
It is Vantaa for me. I mean, I do like Vantaa. I lived in Helsinki for a while. I lived in Tampere as well. But Vantaa is close enough to Helsinki. It's a little bit cheaper to live. We have a bit more space. People are a bit more maybe down to earth, I think. I enjoy living in Vantaa. But a slightly more controversial suggestion would be Myllykoski.
Okay.
This is a small town just near Kouvola. And it's got the kind of shabby post-industrial vibe that I do really enjoy coming from the north of England. It's a nice place to wander around. I mean, the rapids are very pretty. There's all these big, old, derelict factories.
Okay.
And there's a lovely football ground as well, which is very important to me.
Key to any happy life, I think.
What more could you ask for? But I do accept that this might not be for everyone or even most people, and I'm keen to hear what other people think.
Okay, well, let's get into it, because we put out a few calls across our social media channels earlier this week asking people to answer that very question. What is the best place to live in Finland?
And we did get quite a response.
We really did. And quite a wide variety of different responses as well from all over the country. So let's hear what people had to say. Now, we're going to begin our expedition to find the best place to live in Finland, not very far from where we are right now, in Pasila. Dan sent us this voice note via WhatsApp from Eastern Helsinki.
The best place to live in Finland? Well, I'm going to throw in a bit of a curveball and say Itäkeskus in East Helsinki. Now, I know amongst a lot of people, Itäkeskus has like a bad reputation, but I've lived there in the general area for 3 years and I've never seen anything to justify that reputation. I just think Itäkeskus is very interesting and exciting and has a lot of things going for it, especially the Puhos area with loads of really interesting restaurants at good prices, ethnic grocery stores, flea markets, and like a good general vibe. It's beautiful, especially in the summer when all of the markets are outside. But apart from that, we have the whole Kauppakeskus, which has everything you'd ever need in there. You also have the swimming pool. You also have the library. You have the cultural centre. You have Marjaniemi Beach really close by, which is one of the most beautiful beaches in Helsinki, in my opinion. You also have the metro, so you can get into the centre really quickly. And you have Vuosaari not so far away with all of that nature, and you have Puotila there as well. So it's reasonably priced as well, which is always a good thing when you're looking for a place to live. But one thing that Itäkeskus does need is it is a little bit rough around the edges, or needs a bit of cleaning up here and there. But so investment from the city for that would be very welcome. But it seems that Helsinki City is planning to invest a lot of money into Itäkeskus to brighten up the area. So hopefully if they can do that without taking away its soul, that would be the best combination. So yeah, go Itäkeskus.
Thank you, Dan, for that. Moving now slightly outside the capital, we also heard from Anna about life in Riihimäki. She sent us this voice note.
Hi, this is Anna, and we moved to the Riihimäki in 2015 after living in Espoo for a few years, primarily because of the fact that we couldn't really afford the type of house that we wanted, which is a detached house with a large gardens, and the Riihimäki really was the best fit for our family. It has amazing rail links to both Tampere and to Helsinki, both on the intercity and the R trains. And it's super convenient for getting to work, and you get there in around about an hour. And in terms of the location, it's beautiful. There are so many public parks. There are lots of nature reserves. There's lots of different places that you can go out with your family. There are a number of really good museums here, including the Glass Museum and the Hunting Museum. And recently, the indoor swimming pool has been reopened after having like massive renovations. And over summer, there's a beautiful outdoor swimming pool as well. It is, quite frankly, a great place to live.
Thank you, Anna. Now we're going to travel further away from the capital to the southwest and the city of Turku. This is a comment someone wrote under an article we published earlier this week where we asked this very question. This commenter wrote, "I'd go for Turku. It's a city and it's near the archipelago, which is stunningly beautiful. Moreover, it's the only town that has a mix of medieval architecture and town planning, as well as more modern style buildings and city layout. Plus, it's a somewhat bigger city with culture, other cultures, and a city mentality on offer."
Oh yeah, I can definitely see what that commentator is getting at. There is a sense in Turku of a long history that I think other places in Finland don't have so much.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it was the capital originally, and I think the residents there, they like to cultivate this kind of arrogance as superior to the rest of the country.
Okay, interesting.
Tongue-in-cheek arrogance, I'd say.
Yeah, maybe.
Or maybe not, I don't know. They can let us know.
But okay, so we have votes so far for Turku, for Riihimäki and the east side of Helsinki. And now we're going to head out to the east of the country. Ben sent us this voice note about life in Lappeenranta.
So with Lappeenranta, what I love the most is Lake Saimaa, sitting on the bar, on the boats, in the harbour, with the fountains squirting out the middle of the lake. Absolutely fantastic. Also, the fact that you get lovely weather. But the main thing I love about Lappeenranta, the one thing I love above anything else I've not seen anywhere else in Finland, is just the type of birds, the type of nature, the sounds, the smells of the forest around Lake Saimaa, which are absolutely incredible. And I spent so many years and so much time sitting there by the Saimaa, sitting on some rocks, really relaxing, and I really grew as a person there. Of course, we've got no traffic problems in Lappeenranta, very little crime. Overall, extremely friendly people and beautiful apartments, beautiful houses. Everything's looked after, everything's kept quite well. Not so much graffiti everywhere. Streets are looked after a bit better than where we are now in Uusimaa, in my opinion. And the main thing about Lappeenranta, other than that, is literally just the fact that I made a huge circle of friends there. Great place. And that is my number one vote for the best place in Finland. Absolutely, hands down.
Thank you, Ben. I think it's fair to say that's a pretty rave review for a sometimes forgotten city. But we're going to stay in the east, although we are moving about 200 kilometres north. And I had a chat with Arne Granlund about why he believes Joensuu and the wider region of North Karelia is actually the best place to live in Finland.
Well, I'm from Helsinki,
right,
but
yeah.
my family is Karelian, so from my mother's side, so that's the reason why I moved here. Well, I lived abroad. I lived in Austria, Switzerland, Norway, Iceland, and then I was working in the US in New York City. But I still think this place is the best. It has the best infrastructure. It has the nature. I mean, the city isn't a metropolis. It's like 77,000 people living in Joensuu, but it has all the services that I need, so, and also living is affordable here. The rents are lower than elsewhere in Finland, at least in Helsinki, definitely lower. So that's a huge thing. And then the public transport is also cheap.
Yeah. Is there anything particularly unique about Joensuu, would you say?
I would say the the fact that there's so much cycling in there. That's well, I mean, for example, Oulu has that also in Finland, but it's a really pleasant city to walk and cycle in. And I would say the climate action target that they have is unique in Finland, so that they have put it so it's so fast that they have actually had to do quite a bit of practical work. So you see it when you visit. And also there's the nice Pielinen River, which has some projects to make spawning areas for migratory fish. So that's always nice for a fisherman.
Now, let's move north now. We got a vote for Oulu. Ron wrote in to say, I live in Helsinki and wouldn't move, but objectively, Oulu is the best all-round place to live in Finland. Now, Ron didn't elaborate on that.
No.
So I'm a bit skeptical about that. I've been to Oulu once and it was very cold. Maybe it's lovely, but I don't know why. The cycling is great in Oulu, but that aside, I want to hear why Oulu is good. We didn't get many Oulu residents telling us that it's brilliant.
No.
So, please do write in and tell us.
We want to hear more from Ron or someone in Oulu.
Indeed.
But okay, so while we're in the north, we're going to head over into Finnish Lapland. Quite a few people actually contacted us about life above the Arctic Circle. One commenter on our article wrote, "We here in Lapland are biased. Helsinki is a lovely place to visit, but not a place to live for my kids and I. We have always been country mice. It really depends on what you want in life, and for us, a deeply rural existence is far preferable to living in any city."
I think that nails it, really. You can have what you want in Finland. You can have a nice urban environment or beautiful nature, but you have to choose. You have to pick the perfect place for yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. Depends on what you want in life. But to hear more specifics about life in Lapland, I spoke to Duncan Redpath. He's originally from a city in the northeast of England, but he now lives in the northwest of Finnish Lapland, in a village of about 85 people, in fact. So I asked him why he decided to settle down in that corner of the world.
It's got fantastic scenery, fantastic countryside, a marvellous lake in Järvsjärvi, and it's just so peaceful. And it allows you to relax and just get on with life in your own little fashion. It's just fantastic.
Okay. I think a lot of people listening probably have been to Lapland, but don't necessarily think they would survive the winter there. What would you say to that?
People need to try it because, funny enough, we have a friend she's Finnish, but she's lived in Switzerland for many years. And she has a house just down the road from where we are, but she's never stayed the winter up here until this year. And she purposely came across. And she loves it, and people think, oh, it's just dark. It's like dark and cold. Well, yes, it's cold, but it's not dark totally. We get like two or 3 hours of like light during the really dark months. And the light, the colours are fantastic that time of year. And it's just, people think, it's really depressing, but it's not, because you can still get out, you can still do things. And there's nothing better than going out with a head torch on, skiing all by yourself.
Wow.
It just blows you away.
Okay, so we have really been all over Finland now, but let's go back to Tampere, which, as we said, often tops the charts when pollsters ask about Finland's best place to live.
Yeah, I've already stated my claim, but to hear about some other reasons why Tampere does continually top these charts, I met up with Louis, who moved here to Tampere with his family from the Philippines about 4 years ago. Here's what he had to say. Okay, can you explain where we are right now?
Oh, we are in the city center. This is one of my favorite places. We are actually in front of the library, Metso Library here in Tampere. And there's a nearby park as well. Lots of kids playing in the morning. Very sunny day.
Very sunny
beautiful.
Day. Yeah, which helps a lot. And why would you say that Tampere is the best place to live in Finland?
Well, for me, Tampere is a very nice place, very attractive. It's a livable city for me. I think 4 years coming here and staying here, I've seen a lot of good in here. Well, a lot of good people I met also. But one thing stood up for me was actually the fact that Tampere is a very modern, Not as a big city that you will easily get overwhelmed compared to the capital city or in many cities in Europe. Tampere also offers a lot of nature, outdoor spaces, for example. One thing that I do like to spend time with my family is going outdoors, going to the forest, going to the lakes. There's such a lot of things that you can do, simple things that you won't get bored.
Excellent. And you obviously have a young family, and how is that living with a young family in Tampere? What kind of advantages or benefits does it have to when you have children?
Well, Tampere is one of those big cities in Finland. And what I like here is its international atmosphere, meaning to say there's a lot of people who speaks the same language as me, Filipino. English is also very accommodating to many here. And with my family, my daughter studies in international school here in Tampere, but my younger one studies in a Finnish Paivakoti, Finnish daycare. My family lives here. It's very family friendly atmosphere. You know, we can always walk around the park, walk. There's a lot of things that we can enjoy doing, and it's not a very big city.
Now we come to the last stop on our round the country tour, and we don't have to travel very far from Tampere. That's because the town of Pirkkala is only 15 kilometres away, and it has been ranked Finland's most vibrant municipality for the past 4 years in a row.
Yeah, so it definitely must be doing something right. And that study, it's quite extensive. It looks at about 20 different factors that contribute to this so-called vibrant lifestyle. Some of the factors are like availability of employment, business activity, population growth, net migration, things like that.
Yeah, it's comprehensive, and the results did show that Pirkkala has a young and educated population too. Zena had a chat this week with Terhi Tikkanen-Lindström of WSP Finland, which carried out the research.
Pirkkala has an excellent location next to Tampere. They have an airport and a young educated population. In addition, they pursue an active growth policy, and the municipality's work to create good conditions for companies is exemplary. Therefore, the ability to provide jobs is high. The different sizes of municipalities are doing well when we are measuring relative vitality. That is, I think it's an encouraging fact for all municipalities. So it's not only big cities that can thrive. Also, the smaller communities can create good life.
Okay, so we've heard a lot of different reasons why people like where they live, but if I was going to try and kind of summarize it all in a very broad way, I'd say that the best combination seems to be being close to an area that has all the amenities that an individual themselves wants or needs. And of course, that's a very subjective thing. But anyway, living near some form of amenities is very important, but at the same time, being close to nature is something that we heard time and time again.
Yes, and then things like public transport connections are also important, as well as access to jobs, of course.
Yeah, absolutely. But I thought I'd leave the very last word on all of this to Arne Granlund in North Karelia, because I also asked him how to view this issue in the context of Finland last week being named once again the world's happiest country.
I would say Finnish people, we are not the sort of sparkly, happy kind of... we don't pretend to be happy. Like, we are more like content about our society working as it should, and also we can be humble about it. So if everything is working correctly and we get to go out to nature and have our sauna, we don't want anything bigger than that necessarily. So if you have the basics correct, then we are happy. But we do a lot of work to get the basics right in Finland.
Okay, so before we move on, I just want to share that while we were working on this episode, we realized that there are a lot of places that are dubbed the somewhere of Finland. So, for example, Tampere, as you might know, Egan, is known as the Manchester of Finland, which, having lived in both cities, I do kind of get, because they both have this kind of industrial past, and they also have this sort of edgy, artsy, music-y vibe to them, I guess.
They do. And there's the red brick architecture, the cotton industry heritage. I mean, it does make a certain amount of sense. That does.
Yeah.
Others, though,
Don't.
not so much. Levi, the ski resort town in Lapland, was last year called the Las Vegas of Finland by Ilta-Sanomat. And I've never been to Levi, I've got to say. Never been there.
Me neither.
But I'm sceptical.
Yeah. I mean, temperature would be one thing to be for a start.
Indeed.
But probably a lack of Elvis impersonators as well. But apparently it's something to do with what happens in Levi stays in Levi. This is the mentality. So
Maybe.
right, filing that under tenuous. Another one for the tenuous category. Well, I used to live in Jyväskylä, which likes to think of itself as the Athens of Finland.
Well,
yeah. So it's something to do with education. Finland's first ever teacher training college was established.
okay, maybe we can give them that
JKL.
one.
Maybe, okay, yeah.
And
see where they're going, but yeah, we've others.
yeah, we do. Lahti is the Chicago of Finland, apparently due to a shared history of slaughterhouses as well as an unfortunate reputation for crime and organised crime.
This is probably one of the most well-known comparisons.
Yeah, it is. And I think Lahti people do take a certain amount of pride in that. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I mean, it does kind of, they take on that kind of energy a little bit.
Yeah.
But I can kind of, I don't know how accurate it is, but it's maybe it's a bit of nominative determinism. That they've decided this is what they are, so that's what they're going to be.
Yeah, slaughterhouses and crime. Well, anyway, moving on then, Turku is the Paris of Finland, which I have to say I do kind of get as well. This I'm quoting from Time Out magazine, wrote a couple of years ago. Turku is nicknamed the Paris of Finland thanks to its waterside charms on the Aura River and thriving cafe and canteen culture. The words, Egan, of Time Out magazine. Not my words, the words of Time Out magazine.
Time Out magazine, yeah. I mean, I can kind of see this one as well. I mean, I've seen a lot of this. There's a Swedish slogan, Varför Paris vi har ju Åbo.
Okay.
Why do you need Paris when you've already got Turku?
Yeah.
Which is like, fair enough. The bread is much better in Paris, though, I have to say, having been to both cities.
Even I think people at Turku would accept that.
Yeah, I mean, if Turku people can suggest where to get a decent baguette and a croissant, then please do, and we'll declare Turku the Paris of Finland.
Yeah.
But we also heard that Oulu is the Los Angeles of Finland. Not sure about that one at all.
No.
And we also learned that the town of Hanko is on the Finnish Riviera, which, I mean, I guess any country can declare it has a Riviera. So, I mean...
And do.
They do, yeah.
What's the English Riviera again?
The English Riviera, I think, is down in the southwest. It's like Torbay, Torquay, that kind of stretch of Devon and Cornwall.
Faulty Towers.
It's Devon, yeah.
Faulty Towers.
Faulty Towers, indeed.
I'm actually not sure what Irish Riviera is. If there, maybe Wexford? But that says it all.
I mean, maybe. I'm not sure. Maybe Ireland is not pretentious enough to want a Riviera.
It is. Yeah, but maybe. Well, okay, Hanko, yeah. Nice in summer. But Oulu and Los Angeles, I'm not having that one.
No, me neither.
So we've probably missed a few. They were the ones that we could think of. But do please let us know if there are any plausible or even tenuous comparisons between Finnish cities or towns and some international equivalent. You can send us a message or a voice note via WhatsApp to +358 44 421 0909. You can also email the show allpointsnorth@yle.fi.
Now, this episode has been all about the positive aspects of life in Finland. But if you're not completely happy with how things are in your area, this is the perfect time to make a change.
Yes, indeed it is, because municipal and county elections are just around the corner.
And these elections do matter. The municipal and county councils shape everyday life in Finland, from education and healthcare to urban planning and even taxation. So if you want a say in how your community is run, now's your chance. Early voting begins on April the 2nd, while election day is on Sunday the 13th of April.
Yeah, but it's worth noting that despite the importance of these elections, turnout among people of foreign backgrounds tends to be significantly lower than that of the native Finnish population. So last time out in 2021, the turnout among Finns was somewhere around 60%, but it was under 20% for foreigners.
Yeah, and one issue is that many people are probably not aware that they're actually entitled to vote. So even if you're not a Finnish citizen, there is a good chance that you can vote in both of these elections. if you're a citizen of an EU country and you've lived in Finland for just 51 days, you are eligible to vote. For citizens of other countries, you can vote if you've lived here for at least 2 years.
Yeah. So there's a pretty good chance that you have a right to vote and you should use it. Yeah. And next week we will have an All Points North election special, during which we will discuss all the main issues of both these elections. That episode will be available in podcast form, as usual, of course, but it will also be available to watch on Yle Areena.
And we also have loads of election content over at yle.fi/news, including explainers, guides, and of course the election compass, which helps you find candidates that align with your own views.
And now for a quick roundup of what else has been making the headlines in Finland this week. And we start with jobs news, as Finland's unemployment rate hit 9.4% last month, the highest level for nearly a decade. That's based on figures from Statistics Finland, which also revealed that the unemployment rate for men in Finland is currently the worst among EU member states. In health news, the Finnish government announced details of the cuts it intends to make to social and healthcare services as it seeks to reduce the state budget by some 170 million euros. The cuts will particularly affect child protection, disability and home care services. The announcement comes in the wake of reports that the public healthcare system has failed to reduce patient backlogs for non-urgent specialised medical care within a set time frame. Some 20,000 people have been waiting for more than half a year to see a specialist. In other news, a church in Helsinki said this week that it is seeing more and more foreign students lining up to accept its food handouts. Volunteers at the church fill plastic bags with bread, vegetables, fruit and meat, with up to 700 people arriving every week to pick up a package. Meanwhile, Finland's exports to the United States dropped by about 18% last year, according to a report by the Finnish Customs Office. The agency said the value of Finland's exports to the US in 2024 was approximately 7 billion euros. And high school students in Finland will be able to take classes and matriculation exams in English in the coming years. This follows an announcement by the Finnish National Agency for Education. However, the agency noted that only students with insufficient skills in the country's official languages, Finnish or Swedish, will be able to take the matriculation exam in English. And finally, a survey published this week revealed that Finns are spending less time at their summer cottages. During the pandemic, people were spending an average of 100 days per year at their cottage, but that figure has since dropped to 85.
You can join the conversation too. We want to hear what's on your mind. Just leave us a voice note or text on WhatsApp. Our number is +358 44 421 0909.
And that's all we have time for this week. If you're looking for something to watch this weekend, Yle Areena is running a documentary film festival until the end of this month. And there are some excellent films available to watch, including The Contestant and Undercover, Exposing the Far Right. I'd recommend watching both. There's a link in our newsletter, so please sign up for that if you haven't already. Now, lastly, I'd like to say a quick thank you to Zena for all her work on this week's episode, to Egan for stepping in at the last minute, and to our audio engineer Joonatan Kotila for putting the show together. And of course, thank you for listening to and supporting All Points North. We will be back next week with our election special, so please keep an eye and an ear out for that. In the meantime, have a nice weekend and see you next week.